Up, let's do this.
Welcome everybody to Brainstorm Brewery, the podcast that almost started out with DJ saying, "Y'all ready for this?" like at the beginning of Space Jam, but he's too young to get that reference. I'm your main
24
host.
years old.
Woo! You did it. You didn't see Space Jam.
Nope, I didn't.
I'm your main host, Jason Alt. Welcome to this podcast episode. I'm joined by three guests today, the first of which has already introduced himself. Say hello to everybody, Douglas DJ Johnson.
My name is Douglas DJ Johnson, and this is Brainstorm Brewery episode 355? Question mark?
They all have question marks. It's been a long 7 years. They blur together.
Yes.
I am joined by two other very special guests. They insisted on coming on as a unit, and I thought that was a great idea. So from MtG Deals, welcome Paul Feudo and Liz Lynn, everybody.
Hi, everybody.
Hello.
God, we sound boring and nerdy. Sorry about that. Holy shit.
Don't apologize
Peace,
for something
let's
you
leave.
can't fix.
Howdy, everybody.
Yeah, let's sound like fucking clowns again. Let's just do it that way.
Because, like, we can be cool. Like, I swear we can be cool. I'd do anything to be normal.
Nobody believes
I'd do anything to be normal, she says, walking downstairs with a taco in her mouth at 2 in the morning.
How dare you? It was like 7.
Yeah, it was like 7. The rest of the house was awake, too. And, to be fair, there was no other food in the apartment, and I needed to have food before we got breakfast.
I kind of knew this would be a goat rodeo, so I came prepared with the very same beer that the last time I drank it on the podcast was the Chromanticore episode. So that's what I came prepped with tonight.
Let's get rowdy.
Yep, it's going to be one of those kind of evenings. This is on an empty stomach. Let's do this. So we have a variety of topics to talk about. Tonight we brought on two buyers for MtG Deals to talk all about what you should know when you MtG deal with them. And there's thrown Eldraine and all kind of other stuff. So I'm going to pass the mic over to my my main guest, TJ. What's the first item on the docket tonight?
Well, the first item on the docket that we should not forget about before the inebriation kicks in is that this cast is sponsored by Channel Fireball, one of the best places to buy and sell Magic Gathering singles and or sealed product. You can head over to channelfireball.com/buylist. You can sell your cards CFB, and they have some great content. There's some hooligan who edits the website every now and again when he's not just trying to make bad merfolk decisions. And yeah,
Yep.
That is what you call an abrupt plug.
But that's the plug for what Channel Fireball's done for us. That's all they want us to say. I think that's pretty cool. They don't make us say they're the best place to buy and sell singles. They say one of the best, which is super accurate.
I mean,
I would say that without being paid, they're one of the best. Depends.
All of that is accurate. You're absolutely right.
So cool. Thanks, Channel.
But without any further ado, we get into my favorite part of the podcast, where I get to pretend like I know something about this trading card game, and it is Breaking Ball.
Oh boy, that's.
Breaking Ball.
This episode's going to be 25 minutes long without Corbin to derail us, because first of all, he would tell a meandering story for 15 minutes, and like we wouldn't get into Breaking Bulk until like I was already drunk. So,
Ooh, I can tell a meandering story about picking bulk.
Let's hear it.
I bought a collection today that I bought 6 years ago. I picked this collection.
I love it when that happens.
Yeah, I picked this collection 6 years ago, and it just like showed how not knowledgeable I was then. Because like I wasn't pulling terrain generators then.
okay, wow.
Right.
And so I was pulling them this time. And like it's also cool to see the cards that like weren't valuable then that are valuable now. Like I had Steel Shaper's Gifts, which I think was actually valuable then. I was just stupid. But like Winds of Change from Portal, I wasn't pulling those.
Like ideas
Golly.
Unbound and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Ideas. There were Psychic Puppetries. That's a new one. It's sort of like a time machine for how much you've grown as a buyer, and also just how finance has developed.
Yep, I've done that recently, like a year or so ago, where I just like went downstairs and I was like, this bulk has been here for 4 years. Let's see what happened, and then pull an extra few $100 out of there.
I went back through my foils and I have to look up all the foils because I don't want to make a mistake for like $19. So even like having looked up everything before, there was still like a couple $100 in my foils. It was nuts. So
The old uncommon foils are rough. Like a Lorwyn Eventide block.
Yep.
It's just impossible.
Oh my god, yep.
So, not all of that's inexperience. Some of that's just like stuff just really changes.
It's unguessable too. It's like, oh, Treefolk Harbinger foil. This is either $6 or $800. Like, there's no in between.
Or like foil playable cards. You're like, well, Vampiric Link is worth a lot. Oh, nope. So yeah, it's hard to guess, but for the most part, the playable stuff is usually worth more. And would we like to break this bulk story with some breaking bulk? Who would like to go first? How about DJ?
Breaking bulk time. Breaking bulk time. Break.
Oh, yeah, breaking bulk. There's so much good stuff.
It's a pick. Breaking bulk. The end.
I have an M19 uncommon. It is a white card.
Is it Militia Bugler?
Nope.
Ooh, that's a good guess.
Stupid enchantment with a cat on it.
Paul the savant has guessed it. It is a Johnny's Welcome.
Oh, yeah, okay.
A Johnny's Welcome is a 1-mana white enchantment. Whenever a creature enters the battlefield under your control, you gain 1 life. This card is awful. It's not good. It's pretty bad. But that does not stop casual players from sleeving it up in their 78-card unsleeved decks, because players like life gain. They like not dying. They like obvious synergies like this in a Johnny's Pridemate. And they want to play something on turn 1 that lets them curve out with other dumb, dirtly cards. And this card is really, really bad. It is terrible, but that does not mean that Card Kingdom won't buy it for 45 cents.
45 cents for a card that was printed a year ago. That's pretty tasty.
Yes.
Casual players like Mill. They like life gain. Like, basically the stuff that you do while other people are trying to win the game. That stuff sells for a lot because of casual players. And because I guess, like, competitive players don't pick that out. So it just, like, sits and they never sell their cards. So it just sits in the stuff that they bought for M19. And then you buy all their collection in 2 years, and then you got a bunch of stuff from, like, 2016 that was just, like, unplayable in standard. That's, like, 50 cents now. It's great buying old competitive players bulk. Cool, good pick. Would someone else like to go next?
I'll chime in with mine.
Right.
Mine is something that you probably have a lot of if you've drafted or played standard in the last 5 or 6 years. As well as a potential spec pick moving forward. So it's a double whammy, because it's actually worth something now and could be worth more later. And it's Grey Merchant of Asphodel. It's not like a super unknown bulk card, but Card Kingdom buys them for $0.25 for the Theros versions and 72 cents for the Commander 2014 ones. And as we see more and more things with heavy color pips, as we go back to Theros, Devotion might be good, and I don't think this is the kind of card they're going to reprint because it's super messed up.
Oh yeah, this card is unreprintable in standard.
So I think it's like a slam dunk. If you see it in your bulk, you pick it out and set it aside for a year, right? See if the other Theros thing shakes out, and worst case scenario, it's still worth like $1.
This is also like a card that I think they learned their lesson when they put it in a commander deck, just because of how miserable it is to play against, even in a pre-con level.
Yeah.
Like boards just stagnate when you play pre-cons, and sometimes games go too long and people have 10 black mana symbols on the board, and then Grey Merchant comes in and the player gains 36 life and it becomes a 4-hour arch enemy game.
Yeah, exactly. Like, it leads to bad gameplay.
It is a hard card to reprint in those kinds of products.
I kind of like it in that situation, though, because like it just ends the game when no one's attacking. Not that you can loop it in a pre-con. Yeah, all right. I talk myself out of it. I'm like, no, killing people a little bit and making them all mad at you is good, actually.
For that sweet, sweet release.
Let's turn this 0-on-0 into a 3-on-1. Now it's interesting.
Anything to be out of the game of Magic that I am currently playing.
Exactly, that's my kind of sandwich.
We should put a card in the precons that you play when you play against all the other precons. It's just like 6 mana. It's just like you can just get up and leave now. You don't have to do this anymore. That's why I like Insurrection. It's like
it's like a Exploding Kittens card or whatever, where like you just draw the card. It says you lose, idiot, leave.
It's just a card that says love yourself, stop playing.
Go get food while everyone else is. Yeah.
Self-care, throw your deck in the garbage.
Self-care, get a sandwich, let's be real.
That's the name of the episode.
Self-care, get a
like, we got to remind anybody, like, even if they don't click on the episode on cfb.com, we still want them to, like, scroll down and read, like, okay, yeah, self-care. I've had a rough day. I should go get a sandwich. Thanks, Brainstorm Brewery.
Yeah, your brain needs glucose to function.
Can you tell she went to college?
I think I'm offended on behalf of all college graduates that you would think you would need to go to college to know that your brain needs glucose to function.
You know, I know a lot of college graduates who don't eat food. Like, they eat food, but they don't eat food on the regular, you know?
Yeah. Cocaine's food, right? No.
It's food adjacent.
Do I look like I do cocaine?
Is that a question, or like...
Like, isn't, like, getting skinny part of the deal?
I think if you're good at it, probably.
Well, I don't think Jason's been good at anything ever.
Oh my god.
That was...
Give this man a towel.
That was generic, though. Like, it just was like, oh, it was savage because it came out of nowhere.
But it was just aggressive.
I mean, I've had precisely one beer and I'm feeling rowdy.
All right, good. Well, let me catch up and then we'll lob generic insults at each other, as is our custom.
If you throw insults at me, I will cry. Do not test me.
That's how you win. You just talk
The
shit. If they
defense
say
mechanism.
something back, you're like, what a bully. This is going to be a fun episode. And Paul is going to give us his breaking bulk.
To play off of both of their picks, because it's
make us guess it. Make us guess it.
Yeah, man.
It's a white uncommon from Born of the Gods.
Sunbond.
Yes,
It is Sunbond.
Have we done Sunbond?
It's been like 8 years or something.
I don't know, man.
Why don't you listen to every episode and then you would know? I feel like we did Sunbond fairly recently, but nope, that's a good one.
I can also pick like Salt Marsh and Urborg Volcano, but those seem less relevant.
Yeah, some of those weird lands like the Sunbond 7/8 2019. So yep, long enough ago. Oh, it was a guest pick too. Nice. So yeah, that's not a bad pick.
I mean, there's also like archetype of endurance from that set too.
Mm-hmm.
Or not?
Oh yeah, Born of the God
courage.
Uncommons.
Courage, yeah.
Yeah.
Archetype of
I mean,
courage is the white
they're
one.
all bananas. The archetypes are
Yeah.
all nuts.
Yes.
And they don't do what you'd expect them to do. Like, you showed me the art on the green one, I'm like, trample, and they're like, nope. Definitely
No,
not.
there's a reason that card's like
That's-
$3.
Yeah.
The red one is trample.
And it's the worst one by a mile.
And the blue, yeah, the blue one's pretty bad too, because it gives like the color with the most flying.
You'd think that, but that one actually sells the best.
I agree. It's bad, but it sells good.
I mean,
Just
levitation.
like a Johnny's Welcome.
It's like a
This
Johnny
is true.
Welcome.
Levitation used to sell too.
It's
But
a
now we have
blue-green
fancy
card.
ways. It is a blue-green card. That's very true.
You need to give your tramplers flying to negate their trample.
Aha!
Got him.
There's a
Galaxy
keyword for that. It's flample.
I guess the
All
other
right,
way to
let's-
make a portmanteau would be trying. And I'm trying to get out my pick of the week, which is a blue uncommon from Legions? Question mark?
Yeah,
Is
sure,
it
man.
Willbender?
Yes, Legions. It's not Willbender. It has.
Should be Willbender.
You're right.
Is it the unblockable sliver?
No, this card has not been reprinted. If that's helpful.
Is it a sliver?
No, but it's definitely from Legions.
Okay.
So it's a bad wizard.
I mean,
It's either a wizard or a
were
sliver.
there good wizards in Legions? There were not. It's no
Uncommon, so it's
Affeto
not Storm.
Runecaster, that's for sure.
Ooh, yeah, that. MTG Stocks just has some doozies when you wake up some days.
Yep, it's like, well, they printed another crap wizard deck, so hang on to your butts. Riptide Entrancer's worth $7 now.
As everyone just looks up what the hell that is.
Yeah, I mean, I'm passing on this one. I do not know Legion's cards off the top of my head right now.
Well, you guys surmised correctly that this is on the basis of Kadena. This one is Master of the Veil. It is $1.
What does Master of the Veil do?
When it is turned face up, you may turn target creature with morph face down. So you can basically rebuy your morph.
Yes, Morph-Fu.
Right? Yep. I think Kadena decks are boring, and they don't have to be, but everyone's just searching for keyword morph on Scryfall and just jamming those cards in there, and which means that they bought all the Masters of the Veil. So yeah, that's $1 now. You definitely had those in bulk because they weren't worth anything, even when they printed the Wizards deck in Commander 18? 17? 17. So yeah.
It was the forgotten child of the 3 other powerhouse decks. They're like, Dragons is $200 on eBay. The Vampire deck is $800 on Amazon. The Cat one's $200 on TCG Player, and just Wizards.
This
I
one
guess.
is the Wizards one sold $39 completed listing. Yep, it's the deck all the tryhards wanted, and like it made the most cards pop initially, but like I think history has shown, people really wanted them kitty cats. So, yep, Master of the Veil is surprisingly expensive. You probably have these in bulk. Yank them out, sell them to Kadena players. The end.
That's a good pick because that card's been hot garbage forever.
Yep, and now it's hot garbage.
Dang.
Next level. Man, some of this art in Throne of Eldraine is just fantastic.
Well, DJ, what's next on the docket? I don't actually... You wanted me to drive the bus, but I'm driving blind here a little bit.
I made a perfect segue from a blank nothingness of silence into Throne of Eldraine art. I don't know what you want from me.
Which I was about to capitalize on when Jason started bitching.
Exactly. The machinations of my mind are endless.
We were going to talk about art because I've recently gotten into owning original Magic art, and there are some pieces I've been bidding on from this set that I've gotten outbid on because I've bought too much art and I can't buy expensive art anymore. But one of the pieces that recently sold that I was super into was Order of Midnight, just the original one. Not to mention even the alternate art one, which is spectacular. I think another piece that's kind of gone under the radar, I think it's still available actually, is Oko's... It's like the pre-con card, Oko's Accomplices. It's like under 2K.
It's the fairy sword fighting?
Yeah, with like a sewing needle and like scissors. It's just
Oko's
like...
Hospitality.
No, it's Oko's Accomplices.
No, Oko's Accomplices, the one by
Oh,
Zeho
no, I see what
Chen.
it is. I see.
Yeah.
I see.
Zezo
A
Chen.
fantastic artist, a whimsical piece. It's actually like pretty big too, because artists kind of finally figured out that you're supposed to make your art bigger because it'll sell for more. That piece is still available on MtG Art Market, I believe.
Yeah, someone should tell Rob Alexander, like, his pieces are like the size of a postcard, and then they still crop a ton out because he makes them really wide, and they're like, we're going to use a square in the middle of that. He's like, that's cool. It's really interesting that he was, even like 15 years ago, charging $3-4 for something the size of a postcard. But he was getting it. I mean, wouldn't you want the original breeding pool?
Like, when you're one of the best, you just get to do that.
Yeah, more power to him. He's done every land in Magic.
You get paid.
Him and John Avon have the entire panorama of every land ever.
As for other art that I think is digital, I think the Magic Mirror is digital, which is like super disappointing because that piece would be stunning.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. That one, I wonder how big that one would have been. Like, that would be like perfect as like a nice living room piece.
That's like a gallery piece, Like,
Yeah.
make that thing like the size of a wall.
So, Liz, I know you had some hot takes about this set regarding the power level. I mean, there's at least one creature in the set that has 6 keywords and no downsides. And I have heard references of this Throne of Eldraine set to hallmarks to Urza's Destiny. There's a card in this set with affinity, for God's sake. What are your thoughts?
As I said last time I was on the cast, is the only person to ever win a match of Magic. I think this set is very similar to
Ever. You're the only person to ever win.
on the
Just
cast.
out of the 4 of us.
No,
Yeah.
I'm verifying. Like, she's just the only person to ever win a match of Magic ever. I'm not being sarcastic.
That is correct. Yes.
Well,
Everyone else just thinks they've won.
change that to
matches
sanctioned, and
That might
very
actually be
accurate.
true. So this set feels kind of like Rise of Destiny in that there's a lot of zeros and a lot of tens. The card you reference, it just has like 6 keywords, is Questing Beast, I assume. Yeah.
Yes.
That card is good. It's a fine rate, and we've kind of had a lot of cards like that in recent years. They're just fine rates that like they're gonna see play. They're gonna define, one avenue of one archetype, but they're not gonna be format warping. Because, like, Questing Beast still just dies to removal, right?
Yeah, and none of these abilities are hexproof or any sort of like a way to bring itself back or prevent itself from being killed.
Right.
It doesn't have like first strike or some like it still trades in a 1-for-1 rate, even though it is kind of harder to trade with. And none of the abilities, not all of the abilities, synergize with each other.
It just seems like as a reaction to cards like Teferi and stuff like that, like those control decks.
I believe it was Melissa DeTora who said that this card was printed as a hedge against Turbo Fog being some broken thing that they thought was going to be a thing.
Yeah, that's like totally reasonable. And like, this card reads a lot to me like a very narrow answer for a part of the format. Like, it reminds me of Nullhide Ferox, right?
Yeah.
Which is like
Sure,
another
yeah.
4-mana green mythic that's like a good rate, has some sort of like relevant ability that attacks format in a certain way. Because like Nullhide Ferox had the discard clause on it, right?
Yes.
I don't remember what it was that was causing people to discard, but there was like something that was pretty common. I think it might have been Nicol Bolas the Ravager. And it was just like a foil to that. And like, we've had those in Standard for years now. In Eldraine, they just seem more complicated because it's a top-down design, and so they're trying to fit more flavor onto the cards mechanically.
Yeah.
So just sort of like Robber of the Rich, right? That card doesn't need to have reach, but when you think about it, like Robin Hood should have reach.
Yeah.
So I think it's
Because
sort
he's
of
an archer.
right. And he swings from the treetops or whatever. I don't actually know the lore, but I'm assuming.
Yeah, that was Tarzan, but you're very close.
Sure. So like, there's complexity issues for sure there, but it's just WotC trying to fit more flavor onto cards mechanically, and things seeming like better rates than they are. Like, there's gonna be a lot of cards in the set that people think are very good that end up being complete duds, and cards that like people aren't going to evaluate correctly that are going to be slam dunks. Like, this is one of the best sets ever for like pre-sale speculating, honestly, if that's your speed.
Yes. It's like Savage Knuckleblade versus Siege Rhino.
Right, exactly.
Where like Savage Knuckleblade was one of the first ones previewed, and everyone's like, that's a lot of words. That's a 3-mana 4/4 with 8 abilities. I'm going to spend $8 a piece on these. And then it turned out that the Abzan one was the bust.
Well, here's another trap too, because when people are speculating, they're trying to brew up decks like, wow, everybody's, sort of still getting everything spoiled. So something like Savage Knuckleblade looks like it's got a home right away, and Siege Rhino looks like it doesn't. So the deck that's going to put that aggro creature in there is going to get built first, whereas a control deck that doesn't have the right number of duresses and cancels and stuff like that is going to be trash until you get those ratios right, which takes time. So the control stuff takes a little longer to figure out, and sometimes those cards end up pre-selling for a couple of bucks, and then it's like, nope, this is $7 because 3 different decks want it because it's a black card versus, well, the aggro decks are getting smoked now. So I think a lot of players fall into a trap where their play group is brewing an aggro deck that's just smoking all the control decks, and like, this card's in the aggro deck, it's a slam dunk, and it just takes a little longer for people to figure out how to beat it.
Yeah, I mean, that's $10 Stromkirk Nobles week 1, right? That's fairly classic.
Right.
Yeah. What was the other one? Like the
$20
Kaladesh-
grave crawlers?
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like
same.
There's the Kaladesh, the dwarf and vehicle stuff too. That wasn't Smuggler's Copter. Like all the Sky Sovereign and all that stuff was like, aggressive dwarfy vehicles were great just because people want to smash face because you don't know what the threats need to be to the answers yet. But why is there a card with affinity in this set that gets Mox Opal banned? Is that a thing?
So, y'all remember the Keithis deck in Standard, like the 4-color legendary Mox Amber combo?
That's still
Yeah.
like a thing, right?
Yeah, you can just do that in Modern with like 8 Moxen, Keithis, and Emery now. The deck just feels like Corkclan Ironworks. Like, I don't know if it's good, but like it feels like similar play patterns.
I've seen people theorizing that you just like kill people with Jeskai Ascendancy on turn 2 with Emery.
Yeah, sure. That seems ludicrous. I hate that.
This card seems busted, but I don't want to say that.
Jeskai Ascendancy goes up whether that's good or not.
Right, it already did, and that's another just. I've been a fan on this podcast for a very long time of just cards that do not have a home yet. But need one card to be printed to make them good, kind of like the Heartless Summoning Restore Balance Jeskai Ascendancy-esque cards, where like it just says whenever this do this, or stuff costs less,
or it's the
whatever.
only thing that does it, like One with Nothing or Leveler. It just takes that one time where they finally make it relevant again. I made money on Leveler because I had him.
Yeah.
Right, and then you cast Infinite Mistress Baubles with Jeskai Ascendancy on turn 2 and scry your deck with Emery, and then you kill them. But so I don't know, but there do seem to be a lot of cards in this set that read to be very, very powerful, or they'll just be garbage.
That's the problem too. Like there's like Opal keeps getting put in these spots where like it would have been one of those things where like it would have felt like okay, it's not okay, but we're not going to ban it because it's like a format staple, sort of like how they just don't deal with Brainstorm and Legacy. But like Faithless Looting getting hit means that like if they're really looking at like the enablers that consistently cause problems, Opal would have to be nervous.
Yeah, I mean it's like there's a lot of cards in the modern ban list that have died for the sins of a grape shot.
Yeah, this is very true. Sorry for the modern tangent, but it felt applicable.
No, that's very valid. Like, I think looting going changes the entire paradigm of how we have to view potential bans.
It seemed sacrosanct. It was like they were doing everything they could to avoid banning cards like looting.
Yes.
And the reason for that is like, yeah, it was good in the Hogak deck, but looting enabled so many other decks that didn't really need to get hit.
Yeah, and you can just see how the entire landscape of the format has warped just overnight from like Degenerate Graveyard kill you turn 3 to like mid-range dot format.
Also, I've bought so many Sad People's Phoenix decks over like the last like 4 weeks, and it's not a great number.
I bought a lot of them in Indy.
Yeah, because like the only thing it's like you have Scalding Tarns and Snaps, which they might keep, but the rest of like the deck specific cards is like $80.
Yeah.
See, I had the reverse happen a bunch where people were like, I can sell the Tarns and the Snaps, so I'm going to build Storm instead. So they kept like Manamorphosis.
That hurts. That feels way worse because that card's gonna be $3 when it gets hit.
I left Arclight Phoenix on my TCG player bio list for like 2 days too long. And I was just thinking out loud in bed when I woke up, just checking my TCG bio list. I was like, that's so weird. I've bought like 9 Arclight Phoenixes over the past 2 days. And then Emily's like, didn't Faithless Looting get banned? I was like, oh no. You don't even play Modern. You're way...
That's a solid save. Just gotta hope for that Buried Alive life.
I'm trying.
I believe in you, Liz. Just get it done.
Oh, can we talk about how awesome it is to have people's faces on Magic cards again?
What about their names?
Yeah, it's finally in the that used to be a thing you just had to know.
Right now,
his name is on the card. Yeah.
Yeah, it's at the like in the flavor text area.
I think that card's good, by the way. I think the card's really good.
That card does seem very strong. That's another card that just has like 5 abilities, and even if 1 or 2 of them might not be relevant, they just stacked a lot of words on the card.
Right, but these abilities actually make sense together.
Well, the first 3 do. The equipment's probably not super relevant, I don't think.
I mean, it just means that it's going to sell at F&M just as much as it's going to sell at a GP.
That's a very good point.
I disagree about the equipment thing, by the way.
Oh, and there's that terrible...
I'm willing to be wrong.
Like, I think Embercleave is not only a good card, but a card that will see real play. Additionally, I think
it's not as much an equipment as it is like a Teamer Battle Rage, right? Like if you look at it like that.
But also like even just equipments like Steel Claw Lance, like the red-black equipped creature gets +2/+2 that equips to a knight for 1. Like saving 1 mana is relevant in your aggro deck, and being able to
hang on. Can we pause for 1 second and just question why you know the names of all these cards and are making us all look dumb?
Because she's good at Magic.
Because I've been brewing a lot of Standard and specifically the Knights decks.
I have Mythic spoiler
I'm just
open.
like constantly scrolling up and down on Mythic spoiler. Like, Jesus Christ, what card did you just name? Let me try to read this real quick.
I'm very into this set. Very into this set.
I mean, that's great. That's why we have you on.
I would be very into being able to get the Art on Embereth Shieldbreaker.
Yeah, well, we don't all have 5 figures of money to throw at Magic Art, Jason.
I get it. That's right. I made my decision. I'm going to drink my investment.
Smart.
Stonks. Did you guys see the MTG Stonks website yet?
Yeah, it's whatever.
I tried to get my boss to buy it.
The domain or like
the domain, yeah.
This is strong quality content.
Well, if you haven't been to MTG Stonks and now you know about it, you'll laugh for like 10 seconds. So we got you a laugh.
Hey, I mean that's more laughs than Corbin brings to this podcast in 7 years.
That's not true. Shitting on Corbin is the only thing that makes me look funny on this podcast. I'm realizing when he's not here, I'm just sort of struggling because I want to be nice to everybody else.
You can be mean to me. I'll only cry a little bit.
Can you cry off the?
Yeah, I can like move my mic
Just
away.
mute the mic. Yeah.
I'm not trying to get Shane Gillis here. Like,
Sure.
Too soon. Jesus.
Speaking of Once Upon a Time, isn't that a
Throne
card in
of
the set?
Eldraine.
I'm glad you.
Dump.
I'm glad Liz picked up what I was putting down.
Yeah, I'm very smart, thank you. Once Upon a Time is mad overrated.
Dang.
That's a spicy take.
So I'm going to say that for 2 reasons. One, I think it's true, and 2, like, if I'm wrong, no one's going to remember that, but if I'm right, I'm like a fucking genius.
I
Yeah.
can get behind that.
You know how many times I've said that Stoneforge Mystic was not going to get unbanned and looked like a genius every time?
You were right like 6 times.
Do you remember the time I was wrong?
Scoreboard.
No, you just reminded me, but like, I didn't.
I didn't say it this time around.
Smart.
Mostly because I had a Twitter ban.
I had some fellow walk up to me at GP Minneapolis and offer me 90 GP Stoneforge Mystics for a Mox Pearl, and I was like, nah, man, I'm good. I'm so dumb.
That's almost an HP Black Lotus for a Mox Pearl.
Yeah, that would have been sweet. And like, that's basically a new car.
Womp womp.
Yeah, but Mox Pearl's never going to get unbanned in Modern, so...
That is true.
Valid. Can I talk about a card from Eldraine that is going to go in my favorite Bad Legacy deck?
Go for it.
Ironcrag Feat. I don't know if it's good or not.
Can
But-
you read the card, please? For the
Yeah.
rest of-
For the viewers, or the listeners, not for the other cast members.
We have
you all know
viewers
all the
also,
cards.
I'll have you know.
That's true.
We get like 300 views on YouTube.
Damn.
And for a podcast that's been going 7 years, that's pretty
That's like-
good.
Decent. The card is Ironcrag Feat. It is 1 red for a sorcery that adds 7 red mana to your mana pool. You may only cast
this one.
one more spell this turn.
You can only cast turn 3 Karn. This card sucks.
You can only
can only
cast
cast
Goblin
one
Charbelcher,
Yep. Belcher.
and then activate it, and then kill them. I'm buying four Japanese foils the day I can, putting them in my Belcher deck, which I never play anymore, and I'm just gonna like go to bed at night, and I'm gonna think about, Ride of Flame, Ironcrag Feat, Belcher kill you, and I'll just like be happy. That's all I needed.
Sorry.
This card cured my depression.
Well, I used to dream of going Desperate Ritual, Seething Song, Hunted Dragon, and that didn't work out for me. But your thing seems better.
My favorite part about this card is that, like, when all the Eldraine art was getting previewed and we didn't know what the cards were, some guy on Reddit was like, if this card isn't Stoneforge Mystic reprint...
I will print it out and eat it.
Yeah, and then the first guy in the comments is like, actually, Stoneforge is a core, and Eldraine doesn't have core, so have fun.
I'm pretty into that.
I want to see the guy eat it. You know, if you make a bet and you say you're going to eat something,
gotta
EDT's
eat it.
law says you have to do it, and people have been careful. Oh, okay. So this is old Magic lore. There's a guy from Michigan named EDT, and he said if Kai won another Pro Tour, he would eat his hat, and then Kai won, and then everyone was like, "Hey, remember that thing you said?" And at the PT, a bunch of people gather around to watch him tear pieces off of his hat and dunk them in ketchup and try to eat them. And as he was vomiting in a trash can, everyone's like, all right, I think that's enough. And you gotta put your money or your filthy hat where your mouth is.
He didn't wash the hat?
No, he didn't wash the hat. He didn't think he had to. So be a man. If you make a dumb bet, put your money or your hat or your printed out picture of Iron Crag feet where your mouth is. I definitely said I would blend up and eat 4 foil copies of Pain Seer if it got above $5, and thankfully it did not.
Yeah, you were pretty safe there.
Well, I heard it called a better Dark Confidant, so I thought that was hyperbolic enough to make that bet. But I was so overconfident I forgot for there to be stakes if I was right, so I just basically avoided something unpleasant.
I mean, there's a moral victory to be had.
I mean, I got a good story on the podcast.
That's all that matters.
And when we have the video of this guy eating the Iron Crag feet, he should have to buy the original art and eat it. That's what I think. But
Fortunately, that art is digital. He has to eat his computer.
you have to eat it's on a thumb drive. Oh,
I feel like you could eat a thumb drive for not that much money.
I feel like a Japanese company is going to invent an edible thumb drive any day now.
Right, but like for a normal thumb drive that's like $10 or whatever, like how much would you have to get paid to eat it?
My number's like embarrassingly low.
Like, are you allowed to prepare it?
Yeah, you just have to consume it. It's not like some Mission Impossible shit or whatever.
I'm trying to think if it would be like really injurious to swallow it whole. Like, what is it shaped like?
Like the normal one that looks like, I don't know, 2 knuckles of a finger that like has a little like pluggy thing. I mean, it's a normal.
It looks
Yeah.
it's like on a keychain. Yeah, it's like a little.
Normal little stick. Like, don't eat the
rectangular-
keychain because we know what
No,
happens there. That's just cat string. But
Yeah, I don't want it to get stuck. I might have to break it into pieces. I don't know, $10,000,
what the fuck?
That's what?
What? I've done worse for less money.
$50.
Same.
Who cares?
Oh, you guys must have health insurance.
I was gonna
This
put
is
my
like
number
a-
at like 300 or 400.
I have health insurance, but I have a high deductible. which I met this year because we had a kid, so I would have to hope that I did this in the next couple months, and every piece that was coming out came out.
The only result of this is people on our Patreon in our Discord at patreon.com/Brainstorm Brewery. People are going to donate money specifically to us to have Jason eat a thumb drive.
I
mean-
you're welcome.
I'll do it if we get to 1,000 subscribers by the end of the year.
I'm just saying, if you Venmo me $50, I may or may not eat a thumb drive.
She's won a Magic tournament.
That is true.
Both of those things are true. It's the duality of humans. The same person can say, yeah, I found that line of play after playing for 8 hours exhausted, and I managed to eke out the win, and also $50
Also,
I'll eat that
electronics are
metal.
snacks.
Clearly what Kafka was talking about. Absolutely right.
I don't have enough cadmium in my diet.
That's what the human diet needs: glucose and.
The human brain needs cadmium to function. You don't know. I'm the only chemist on this cast. You guys don't know.
Yeah, but we all have Google, dude.
You don't know how much nickel metal hydride the human body needs to function.
No, and I don't care.
I always said that if the human body started needing Gaia's cradles to function, that I would be okay with the reserve list being removed.
Oh, that's very kind of you.
So you're like the opposite of Jeff Bezos then. In his Gaia's cradle tower.
Well, I have hair and I'm married, yeah.
Wow.
Buckets!
Got him. You really are better than Jeff Bezos.
This is without a doubt the worst episode of Brainstorm Brewery.
And the best.
I agree.
Because it's like 5 minutes of content.
We knew
We're
that
fine.
when we agreed to have Paul on.
This is a true fact.
Because there's two segments of people that listen to this podcast. There's the I hate this podcast because there's not enough Magic Finance content, and there's I hate this podcast
there's
because
too
you only
much.
yeah
Ooh, it's a tough beat.
Yeah.
yes.
That it's a podcast for nobody. The overlap of those two circles in that Venn diagram is very small. It's mostly just Narc and Sander Vanderzee.
Random tangent question.
Sure.
When do we think rat colony is going to go up?
Soon.
Like within 6 months soon?
Yeah, I think so.
Because
On the
like that
basis
card's
of-
going to be a disaster.
Well,
I just want it.
they managed to avoid
rotate.
giving us any legendary rat matters creatures so far.
Right, but they're still like if they're just giving more rats and random stuff, like at some point there's just going to be a tipping point because it's not like every customer needs 4 of this card to be happy, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Like,
So like when it tips and goes, it goes.
No, it's gonna be when Game Nights makes an episode. Then like when Shadowborn Apostle went to $8 or whatever.
that's
Yeah.
fair.
If Game Nights has a rats person on, we're cooked. I'm glad I have a lot of them.
Yeah, rat colony seems like free money. That's a pick of the something.
No, it's gonna be the Game Nights episode where it's like Josh plays Persistent Petitioners, and then Jimmy plays Rat Colony, and then their guest plays Relentless Rats, and then somebody builds like some weird deck around that dwarf thing where it lets you have 7 of them, but they'll make it work.
That'd be the Thrumming Stone goes to $80 episode. Yeah, those
Pick of the week. We're gonna go back into Degen shit in a bit. Don't worry. But pick of the week.
you can't escape this conversation. Here's a pick of the week from me that I really thought I'd picked before, but I went to the spreadsheet that our $20 patrons at patreon.com/brainstorm brewery have access to.
10.
10? What? 10?
10.
Oh, that's too cheap. Oh, well, okay. Apparently, if you pay us $10 per month, which is $2 or $2.50 per episode, you can have access to the spreadsheet where we update the second we podcast in real time. So if you are, hanging out on a Monday night, just waiting to look at a spreadsheet, you can look at that spreadsheet as soon as we cast, instead of waiting for Friday when the podcast comes out. And I was looking at that spreadsheet because I do that sometimes. I look at the spreadsheet and I noticed that my pick of Tender Shoot Dryad is not something I had picked recently, and I thought I had. I am operating under like a new assumption that like maybe we don't necessarily wait for rotation on some of the EDH stuff that's like almost 100% EDH play. I don't think this could dip too much at rotation, which means like the $2.75 it is on TCG players probably its floor. If it goes to $2, whatever, just buy a bunch more and then you paid $2.50 on average. But
I have paid more than $2.50 on this card at a GP booth. So the fact that that is its retail price right now seems wrong.
I mean, if this goes to $1, then just buy a bunch and you paid $1.75, whatever. Like,
Yeah. I remember this being on our hot list for $3 to $4 or something at some point. So
Ascend means it's going to be tougher to reprint than most cards because they don't tend to jam a ton of keyword mechanics into like, commander precons. And this is really strong, and it's in the top 100 green cards on EDH Rec already, despite being like a year and a half, 2 years old. So Tender Shoot Dryad's my pick. It's very cheap, and if it gets any cheaper, buy even more. This is one of those picks I may actually just spend money on, even though I called it on the podcast, and that's dirty. It's
also from a bad set too, which is great.
It's from a bad block. Yeah. So that's my pick. Who next?
See, this is why we stagger the cast this way. You get this tiniest dose of finance info with Breaking Bulk. You're like, oh, cool, I can make like $5 or $6 this week. That's neat. And then you listen to all the talk about sphincters, and then you get the real money at the end.
My pick of the week is a... Are we supposed to guess these ones?
No.
Okay, good.
Get it over with.
Azoni Thousand-Eyed.
Okay.
Guilds of Ravnica rare, deals with the graveyard, is a card that is very powerful. There are a bunch of cards in Eldraine that deal with the graveyard, specifically in green and black.
We're on the same wavelength here.
And then we're going to Theros Underworld or whatever for our next set, which is probably going to have a lot of graveyard stuff going on. And the specific card in Eldraine that made me think about Azoni, let me pull it up here.
Is it the food thing?
No, it's the Cauldron of Eternity.
Oh, I like the food. I like the food creature in Golgari too.
That's also very good. Cauldron of Eternity is 10 colorless black for legendary artifact that costs 2 less for each creature card in your graveyard. Whenever a creature you control dies, you put it on the bottom of its owner's library instead, and then you can pay 2 and a black and tap and 2 life to return target creature from your graveyard to the battlefield. Only time you could cast a sorcery. So like, this kind of feels like a Whip of Erebos stand-in. Azoni is a creature that goes wide, makes tokens, and like kills them pretty quickly, and rewards you for having a stocked graveyard. And so I think there's like going to be a green-black graveyard synergy deck moving forward in Standard. Azoni is very close to bulk, if not actually bulk. That's my pick of the week.
Yes. My pick of the week is in basically the exact same vein, so I like Doom Whisper.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
That card has pre-sold for a very, very high amount of money, very, very large amount of money, pre-sold for like $15 or something like that, and then it spiked week 1 to like $25, and then nobody did anything with it at all, and it has slowly all gone down all the way to like $5. And I think that's a perfectly fine buy-in. You just spend $15 on a playset. The market price is $4. The average price is $5. So I think you just pick them up now. There is a decent chance that there is a graveyard thing happening. Guilds of Ravnica cards will be progressively harder to find as the year goes on. We've seen this time and time again, Song and Dance, where the set that is the second year in a Standard. There's a better way to put that, but like. The set that is not the newest block in Standard, right? Like, all the Ravnica cards are going to be old-ish at this point for Standard. And they just go up because people aren't opening those packs anymore. People will be all about their Throne of Eldraine. The M20 cards will still be fresh, all this stuff. But, like, Guilds of Ravnica are going to be old, and Doom Whisper is cheap. And it fills your graveyard. It's a big flying, trampling thing. And that's it. It curves into Azani, too. I mean, what more can you want?
Yeah, I think we're building the same deck here, DJ.
Yep.
Azoni is one of those cards that I kind of like looked at in the context of EDH, and like nobody built it at all, but I think it's better as an inclusion in a deck than it is helming its own deck. And when a card distinguishes itself in that way, it suddenly gets put in a lot more decks because like any green-black deck that cares about the graveyard can use it, and that's basically everything that they build for Golgari and the precons because they can't really figure out anything else for it to do. So this probably gets played a lot more than something that's like a good commander on its own.
I just want to play Golgari Fine Broker in Standard.
Yeah, I miss those days when it was just like miserable green-black decks bashing up against Jeskai decks. Golgari Fine Broker, get back my Golgari Fine Broker. Resolves, alright. Teferi, trigger, untap my lands. That is time in the round, active player finish your turn, you have 5 additional turns.
Now this desert that costs 7
Liz,
mana
stop
to
edging
activate
me.
and gets back a creature is not too slow for this format at all.
Alright, Jason, what do you got? Or Paul, what do you got? Jason already did his pick. Paul, what do
My
you got?
pick is Tendershoot Dryad
Yeah.
for all the reasons I stated earlier.
My pick is Cavalier of Night. I think that the Night Tribal stuff is pretty interesting in Throne, both casually and competitively, because there's some cards that reach both. And I really like Mythics from core sets just because traditionally they're not open as much, so there's a more limited supply if the card ever impacts Standard, especially if it impacts Standard and Casual and it's like dual demand. Because like Knight of the Ebon Legion's like basically getting bought out on TCG Player like sort of as we speak. Like market price is like $450, but like realistically you have to pay like $6.50 to like get one shipped to your house on TCG. So like the night demand's real, and mythics are better than rares.
Jeez.
Paul's so smart.
Yes.
You did it, Paul.
Made us all look like damn fools.
I don't know about that. Let me make sure that Evan number's actually right, because I might have been looking at the wrong one.
Oh,
But,
don't second guess yourself just because you got a little bit of praise. That's something you do all the time, man. You gotta have more confidence. You're a white guy. You have an untapped reserve of unearned confidence that you like have never even tapped into, and I really feel like you can.
Right, which is why I'm going to correct myself and say that I was looking at the promo one. The
Can we
normal
talk?
90
No, no, no.
thing's
Can we
like
talk
$3.
about how those promos are the worst thing to
Are
happen to
fucking
Magic?
infuriating? Oh my god.
I'm pretty sure I bought like 20 of them in Indy, and my boss was just like furious at me secretly.
Some people have the audacity to ask for more money on those.
It creates so many negative customer experiences when I'm like, no, I want that less because it has the stupid thing on it that you also hate. That's why I want to pay less on it.
The whole reason you're dumping it, yeah.
Like, what a miserable product.
I hope they know that we hate those and they never do them again.
They put the stupid thing in the exact spot where like you hold cards while you're flipping through them.
You never see it until you're like putting them in a pile.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's the actual worst. In binders, they're just landmines. But tangent aside, the normal Night of the Evan Legion is only $3, not almost $6. But I stand by my point that the Night Demand's real, and mythics are still better than rares.
Well, like even old knights from forever ago, like Kinsbale Cavalier, are starting to go up. So like,
And Exemplar is going to be a disaster.
oh yeah, yep.
Yeah, Indestructible and the Lord. Yeah,
Don't
it's
worry,
weird
our
having
editor will
someone
take
on
out
there.
these awkward pauses. You don't have to react to them. You just pretend they don't happen, and then he takes them out, and they're like, "What awkward pause?" And then the episode's 43 minutes long.
Welcome to America.
Hey, this is one of the best episodes we've done in the past year, and Corbin's not going to listen to it.
Yeah, we can say anything we want about Corbin, who is so bland as a person that he eats the same meal every day because he doesn't need any variety in his life because he couldn't handle it.
Oh, while we're talking about Patreon and while we're talking about Corbin, I will take the opportunity to let everybody know that we are extremely close to hitting one of our long-standing stretch goals for patreon.com/Brainstorm Brewery. For as little as $1 a month, you can help contribute to making Corbin wear a Merfolk cosplay in real life. We are going to hire a cosplayer to make this for him, and he's going to have to wear it. He's going to have to play at an event, and he's going to have to swim in a real river or lake, and he may or may not come out of that experience
Dead.
breathing. Yeah. So
he may have
that
to
is
grow
a
gills.
that is something you can contribute to. We are extremely close, and we calculate our Patreon rewards now by number of patrons, not by dollar amounts. So any amount equally contributes to this. We only need 25 more subscribers, as little as $1 a month. So you can get that 4% of the way there, and just you get that sword of Damocles just a little bit closer to his throat.
He was real overconfident that we would never hit that mark, and then without consulting him, we changed it from dollar Patreon amount to number of patrons, which we think is more attractive for people to get at the $1 level and have access to the Discord, and then kind of see what other offerings are. But also for like $1, you could get 4% closer to making Corbin literally drown in a Merfolk costume. It's a contest. Yeah, he lost. He's the worst Merfolk. What's that, Paul?
What is?
Is there a bonus tier to get someone to cosplay as Kanye West and follow him around?
JJ would do that. And by that, I mean no. So right before we sign off here, we have two very experienced buyers here. And what I think would be valuable for our listeners is for them to vent about some of the bad customer experiences they've had with people selling to them. And this is going to be some great insight for you as a seller to learn things not to do, and to have the opposite experience where they like you and then remember you and then don't give you bad numbers versus hating you and giving you a smelly person who had their cards all in sleeves and the sleeves were inside a binder tax. So without further ado, I will cede the floor to Liz and Paul to vent about bad customer experiences.
I'm gonna take the floor away with unsleeve your cards. I swear to God, my cuticles are raw. I'm like Gordon Ramsay yelling about chicken. These cuticles are fucking raw. If your cards are in side loaders, I hate you. If your cards are double sleeved, I hate you. If they're in a binder, I hate you.
Oh, don't even forget to mention Mr. Half my cards are side loaded and half of them are regular double sleeved.
Ooh.
You know those new sleeves that like have a flap that tucks in?
Oh, the baby flap.
Yep.
If you hand me cards in those sleeves, I will sit there and think to myself for the entire buy, I hate you, I hate you, I hate you. And when I'm totaling things up, I'm thinking, I hate you, I hate you, I hate you. And I shoot you your number, and you're like, oh, I don't know, can you haggle lower? I'm going to say no to you. I'm not going to haggle with you. Like, if you were reasonable with me, maybe I'll haggle with you.
Yep.
That's my starting point. If Paul wants to take the floor for a second, I'm going to fume.
Ooh. We dredged up some.
Wait.
Some
I'm gonna add fuel to the fire for Liz. Don't you just love it when they comment? They're like, "Wow, you're really good at de-sleeving cards."
Yeah, because I've done 10,000 of these today. Oh.
Some raw festering anger there.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's years building up.
Yep.
We're letting it all
Yeah.
loose tonight.
It's like some let the hate flow through you shit. Having an idea of what you're trying to sell and what you're trying to sell it for will expedite the process and lead to a more positive process overall for everybody. Like, don't get me wrong, it's no problem if you just don't like someone's numbers. Like, shit happens, not a big deal. But when you're really not sure about what you're doing and what you're trying to sell and what you're looking for, you end up not respecting people's time when these people are at work. And it's rude. Like, I get that, like, it doesn't happen that often, or, like, you're not going to plan that way because it's very matter of fact. But it wastes people's time, it wastes your time, and it's, like, I'm not saying, like, have everything, like, in a box, unsleeved, perfect, ready to go, or whatever, but just having a general idea of what you're trying to sell.
I'm saying that.
That would be nice, but, like, I have reasonable expectations that people aren't going to do that.
No, I know.
I'm saying don't sit down with me, and when I open up your book and I start pointing at cards and I'm like $3 in Inquisition of Kozilek, and you're like, oh no, I need that one back because I'm going to play it in my Mardu the Shadow deck. See, the thing about Mardu the Shadow deck is that I really want to play Inquisition of Kozilek in it. Don't give me your life story when you want to keep that card. Okay? I want to offer you $3 in your card, and I want it to be something that I buy. Don't have it in your book if you're handing me your book. I realize this right now is like Paul is Obama and I'm Obama's anger translator. It's just the Key and Peele bit.
I wish I was ever that cool to have an anger translator.
I am your anger translator.
Now. Liz is here. We have an opportunity here where, Paul, you can say something pretty middle of the road, but Liz, having worked with you in the booth, knows exactly what you're saying, and she can translate into angry, and then our listeners can be like, oh, I'm the guy who does that. So this would be beneficial for everybody. So, Paul, why don't you say something like kind of reasonable, and then Liz, you can be his anger translator. This will be good.
I'm in.
So, I understand that it's important that Magic's an expensive game, and it's important to get what value you can out of it for your cards, and it's important to make sure you spend as little as possible because, well, you have other stuff to spend money on. That's all pretty reasonable.
Yep.
But there is a point where you are no longer working for minimum wage when you are attempting to wait 20 minutes in line to get $1 more on a card, even if it's several cards. It's actually just not worth your time. And it's honestly just generally better to build better rapport and just do other stuff with your day rather than worrying about the extra buck here and there. I get it if you're broke or if like an emergency happens, that's totally cool. That's not what I'm talking about. But I've noticed that people need to respect their own time more as opposed to when compared to like financial incentives.
You people need to value your time. The thing is, you'll come and stand in line, you'll sit at our booth, and you'll fight me on quarters and dollars, and like, you're working for like $3 an hour when you're doing that, because like, the number's the number, homie. Like, I'm gonna shoot you a number, and it's the number I can give you, because I'm not here to like, shoot you, $1 on a card I can pay $3 on. I want to get that card. So, value your time. If you don't want to sell cards to us, sell them somewhere else. That's fine. Just don't waste my time. My time is valuable, your time is valuable, let's all respect each other, and everything will be good. But like, if you're here trying to make sure that you're getting every nickel and dime for every card, you're actually just losing money. I got one. I'm just gonna do it in like normal voice, and Paul can be my anger translator this time. Or he doesn't have to. He doesn't have to. So, when you are a buyer, you are partially in the industry of, magic finance, and you're partially in the industry of hospitality. It is my job to charm you. It is my job to make you feel comfortable when you're selling me cards. I'm there to make you happy while you sell me cards because you need me to do emotional labor for you. And like I talked about this the first time I was on the cast, being a buyer is partially doing emotional labor for customers because you're trying to get them to part with their cards for less than they're fully worth because someone's got to make money in this transaction, and because we paid X number of thousands of dollars for a booth, we get to be the ones who make money. So don't sit there and make me do emotional labor for you over stuff that's not the buy. Like, I don't want to hear your bad beat story. I don't want to have to make you feel better that you lost your round. Like, I'm going to because it's my job. But like, if you want to make buyers really like you, just be a reasonable person. Like, that's how I got where I am in this industry, is I knew my stuff and I was just a reasonable person. And so like, if you just don't waste people's time and like put extra burden on them, they're going to like you more. And, you know, maybe I'll give you the extra buck or two on that card that, you know, like we're low in supply on, and, you know, we can afford to pay extra on. That's my bit.
I don't have an anger follow-up, but I have a follow-up. Talk to people who work in something about anything that isn't their work. So, like, if you want to have a good relationship with a buyer, you go to a lot of shows, or, like, you, even if you're just dealing with someone that locally, talk to them about not Magic cards.
Yes.
Talk to them about sports ball, the weather, good restaurants in the area. It doesn't matter. Just talk to them about anything else.
If you want me to be your best friend, tell me where your favorite place to eat locally is. That's just actually true.
Yes, that's a true fact, because all of us are jet-lagged and none of us know where we are.
Correct.
That's next. That's base level thinking is recommend a restaurant. Next level thinking is bring them food.
Yeah, if you bring me like donuts or something, it is over.
I was gonna say, every now and again I get somebody at GP who either comments on my Cloud9 stickers or my Cloud9 shirts, which is nice, or somebody who recommends a local rock climbing place. So shout out to those people.
If you come to me at a show and tell me where like the best local Korean barbecue is, I'm straight up just like, I'm just giving you the best numbers. I'm just like plussing you on everything. I'm sorry, don't tell my boss, but like, it's game over for me.
This is a person who would eat Korean barbecue based on a complete stranger's recommendation in Phoenix, Arizona.
I thought you were gonna say
this is the kind of person we're dealing with.
I thought you were gonna say this is the kind of person who would eat a thumb drive based on a complete stranger's.
May or may not eat the thumb drive.
If you wrapped it in beef and put it on a hot table, whoo!
Yeah, I'm in.
I'll give you $50.
Bone apple teeth.
Bone apple tea.
All right, this was.
We did it. We made it through the best worst hour of MTG Finance. We didn't read any Rule 34 or MTG Finance fan fiction, but we did give you guys a glimpse into what it's like on the other side of the buying table, so that you can go prep the next time with recommendations, perhaps donuts, or perhaps just a glucose slathered thumb drive as a midday snack. We had 3 guests on this podcast. Let's go down the list of all our guests. Where can we find all of you? What are you up to on the internet? And, what are your other projects that you're working on? Starting with our first guest, Douglas DJ Johnson. Where can our listeners find you?
Yeah, so my name is Douglas Johnson. You can find me on this podcast every week. You can find me on Twitter at Rose of Thorns. The second O is a 0. You can find me at most North American Grands Prix / Magic Fest / whatever they want to call them these days. I will be at Atlanta this weekend. I will be at Montreal after that, and then I believe Richmond, and then Columbus, I think. I will not be at Phoenix. I know I'm not going to be at Phoenix because Phoenix is a garbage fire of a city. And you can find me on TCG Player at Card Garden. You can find my Twitter sales under hashtag Card Garden. You can find me in the general Syracuse, North Syracuse area buying and selling Magic cards. That's about it.
Wow, that was a lot longer than anybody wanted to sit through. Paul Feudo, where can we find you, sir?
I'm the head buyer for MTG Deals, so I'm at every MTG Deals booth. We do all the West Coast Magic Fests in the US and some East Coast ones. We're looking at doing Star Cities at the start of the year, potentially. And my Twitter is PRFEUDO. That's basically the only social media I have. I'll respond to stuff if you ask questions nicely and aren't a jerk. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
And last but certainly not least, Liz Lynn, where can everyone find you on the interwebs?
You can find me on Twitter, Patreon, and Venmo at Devoted Druid. I mostly just shitpost on Twitter. My Patreon is about Magic strategy content and occasionally finance content, and my Venmo is where you can send me $50 to eat a thumb drive, potentially.
Maybe.
You have to pay for the thumb drive. I can't stress that enough. She's not going to cut into her $50 profit by having to buy her own thumb drive. Think a little bit.
For sure. You can also find me on Twitter at Basking Bazaar, where I post deals under the hashtag WallaDeal. You can also find me behind the booth with MTG Deals occasionally. I believe our next show that I'll be at is going to be Phoenix, so feel free to come and say hi to me at that awful, terrible city. And I think that's pretty much it for me.
And if you are in Phoenix, Arizona, and you're offended that places like Poland, which we described as Europe's Mexico, and other places around the globe that we've insulted, if you're from Phoenix and you're feeling a little salty, what I recommend you do is move, and then you'll see that we were right. I'm Jason E. Alt, and that's what you can find me on Twitter as. And if you click on my pinned post at the top of my Twitter bio, you will see all the different projects I am part of. I'm a writer for various websites. I'm a podcaster for various podcasts, and I don't know. I'm a stand-up comedian and a dad, and somehow I find time to not really do much work. And this episode, we did it. We done did it. We got through it. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you for considering going to patreon.com/Brainstorm Brewery and giving us $1 to make Corbin drown. Goodbye.
Bye, everybody.
Yeah.